at some point in different ways. Does our life matter? Will it matter? And when we think about that, we think about what people tend to celebrate. And the things that people, the world, celebrate are different than the things that God celebrates. So we should ask a few questions that kind of orientate ourselves to this according to God. What is the kind of life that God would look at and say, yes, approved, success, good, let's celebrate for the rest of eternity, your life. But we can also ask that of our church ministry. We could ask that of our church body. We could ask that of the next 2 weeks of camp, how we'll serve there, how the word be preached there, how conversations will happen there. We can ask that about parents that are here. Will God celebrate your job as a parent? Will God celebrate your home? Will God celebrate the ministry that you're involved in? Okay, so you see how God celebrates certain things that we may not celebrate in the world the same way. When it comes to the world celebrating things, you might start a business. You might start a new entrepreneurship. And on your first grand day, your first grand opening, what would you hope? What would be a success for a first day of business? We can name it off. Have smooth operations. Nothing breaking, nothing. Nobody getting arrested. We would like to have large crowds. We would like to have strong sales. Those would be successful day of a business. But what about a first day of school? You start a new school, charter a new school, and you got brand new students on the first day. What would you hope? What would be successful for that first day? You got student satisfaction. You got no one getting arrested again. You got positive reviews would be for your school. Those would be good things. You go on Google reviews and you look and say, oh, they're mostly 5 stars. That's good. That's successful. And then we come to the church. And a lot of times what we do is we bring in the same standards for business, same standards for school, same standards for the world, and we just kind of import it into our church. And we think, large crowds, popularity, money coming in, great, influence, comfortable chairs, lots of applause. Is that how God measures His church? Is that how God measures success for your life as an individual, as a servant of the Lord? I think God measures something else. And that's what these passages are doing. That's what these passages are telling us what the measure is. Paul says that this ministry, this church in Thessalonica was not in vain. And by worldly standards, it looked like a complete mess. Maybe it looked like a little bit of last week's camp, if you let Pastor Mike tell you about things that happened at last week's camp. It was very chaotic. Let's remember for a minute how Thessalonica got started. You'd have to go to Acts 16 and look those verses there. But it was chaotic, man. We hope that the teen camp this week won't be the same experience that Thessalonica had, because Paul didn't get to finish what he started there. If we get to teen camp and then the city runs the preacher out by Tuesday, that wouldn't be good, would it? When Paul got there in Thessalonica, he was still carrying the wounds and the bruises from Philippi. Philippi was just the town over, just a few miles down. And Paul gets into this town, he's still, kind of bent over and beaten. And after just a couple of weeks, the same